Full lights, start sound, roll camera, action.
The year was 1954. Raj Kapoor had just landed in Moscow. It was the height of the Cold War. The Iron Curtain was firmly in place. Visas were tight, protocols even tighter. The Bollywood actor landed in Moscow without proper documents. Yet somehow he was greeted with a smile. The officers just let him go. So Raj Kapoor stepped out of the airport unsure of what to expect. He was waiting for a taxi when it happened. A crowd started to gather. People began pointing, calling out his name. They were ecstatic, and soon the mob surged. When the taxi finally arrived, his fans were all around it. Some accounts say fans lifted the car onto their shoulders. Such was the craze for Avara, a film that had released in India in 1951. It had struck a deep emotional chord across the Soviet Union. Avara was the story of a poor young man caught between fate and choice, a theme that resonated with the Soviets. The film sold an estimated 64 million tickets in the USSR, the Soviet Union. It remains the third most watched foreign film in Soviet history. The song Avara Hoon was reportedly played at state banquets. Former Russian President Boris Yeltsin was even heard humming it. After this, several Bollywood actors became popular in Russia. Dilip Kumar, Dev Anand, many others, but none captured the Soviet imagination quite like Raj Kapoor. In Russia, he was not just a movie star, he was an emotion. And that tells you about the influence that Bollywood often has. It is one of the largest film industries globally, dominates the Indian box office, making India the third largest movie market in the world. It's the most obvious example of India's soft power. Although India did not stop at cinema, you could say it was only the opening act. Over the decades, India has given the world many gifts. They're not often talked about, but they have quietly reshaped the global imagination. 2,500 years ago, a man sat under a tree. His name was Siddhartha Gautam. And under the shade of that tree, he found enlightenment. He became the Buddha. And with that, India's first global message was born, Buddhism, a path of moderation, of inner peace, of non-violence. King Ashok took it further. After witnessing the horrors of war, he converted to Buddhism. But he did not just convert himself. He converted India's foreign policy too. Emissaries were sent to the whole of Asia to spread the message of Buddhism. They carried with them scrolls, sutras, and stories. Buddhist art, sculpture, and temples took over. It became the world's first global religion, yet its roots were here in India. Today, Buddhism is the world's fourth largest religion, but every path leads back to that one Bodhi tree in Bihar. And then there's the other tree that India gave to the world, the tree of practice, Yog, or Yoga as many call it. The word Yog derives its origins from Sanskrit. It is thousands of years old. Lord Shiva is seen as the first yogi or Adi Yogi. History shows yoga existed in the pre-Vedic period. There's physical evidence of that, even from the Indus Valley civilization. But it really became prominent in the Vedic period. Yoga finds mention in ancient texts, the Vedas and Upanishads. And no, it was never really about flexibility. Yoga was seen as a system to unify the body and the mind, harmonizing oneself with the universe. By the 20th century, spiritual ambassadors brought it to the West. Initially, it was ridiculed as contortionist nonsense. But today, 300 million people practice it daily. It is taught in schools across the globe. It is practiced by athletes, celebrities, and CEOs swear by it. There are countless YouTube tutorials. The United Nations now celebrates June 21st as International Yoga Day. Yoga is a multi-billion-dollar global industry, but its heart remains in India. And then there's Indian English. You heard it right. India was colonized in English, but today, India owns English. More than 300 million Indians speak the language. India is the second largest English-speaking nation in the world, right after the United States of America. But this is not your English, this is Indian English. Words get repurposed, phrases get a makeover, and meanings, well, they get Indianized. If you've heard things like prepone, close the light, or out of station, you've heard Indian English. We've given the language many words, phrases, and expressions, including cousin brother, time pass, and pass out. And they only make the language richer, we say. Plus, we have Hinglish, a mix of Hindi and English words. Sentences start in one language and end in another. There are no grammar rules. English is the language of the youth, the streets, the internet, and now even brands, politicians, and movies. And mind you, this is not broken English. This is a collision of cultures. And whether the world likes it or not, it's here to stay because so many of us are speaking it. Next on our list is science and technology. It's often portrayed as a playground for the West. But remember, zero came from India, so did the decimal system. Ancient Indian texts talk about plastic surgery. It's mentioned in the Sushrut Samhita. There are details of complex procedures like rhinoplasty and skin grafting. Fast forward to today, and India is making strides in the field of science and technology again. Look at the Mars orbiter mission, the Mangalyaan. It was successful in the first attempt and cheaper than Hollywood space movies like Gravity. So India reached the Mars for less than the cost of Sandra Bullock's spacewalk. And if you need more examples, look no further than the Silicon Valley. More than a third of engineers there are of Indian origin. Top tech companies are led by Indians. So Indians are not just participating in the tech revolution, they're leading it. Then there's Indian food. Today, chicken tikka masala is widely known as Britain's national dish. But we all know where it came from. Britain may have colonized India, but even then they couldn't master spices. There are also Gen Z drinks like turmeric lattes. Americans pay $6 for one, but we all know what it is. It's our humble haldi doodh. And it's not just food. Indian music is making waves across the globe. Indian dance forms are making their mark. They're performed at international festivals. Indian festivals are celebrated across the globe. Diwali is a public holiday in New York. It shows you how the world has folded all of this into its own identity. These are some of India's greatest exports. But here's the greatest one, the biggest gift from India to the world. It's far older and harder to pin down. It's the idea that differences are not dangerous, that chaos is not disorder. It's the concept of unity in diversity. Few countries can really claim this. 22 official languages, 1,600 dialects, 8 major religions, all coexisting for centuries. Diversity is not a challenge in India, it is part of our DNA. There is no single version of Indian culture, because there are 1,000, and yet it works. India did not invent inclusion, but it practiced and aced it before the West even found the word for it. And that idea that differences are not dangerous is beautiful. It's a gift that the world is just beginning to understand and appreciate. Of course, it hasn't been perfect, but it has prevailed. It has evolved, and the West is just waking up to it. They talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI. That's what it is called. Guess what? We wrote it into our constitution back in 1950. We had reservations for the marginalized, schemes for those historically wronged, DEI policies tailored to language, region, and history. India has a long legacy of social equity movements. Today, up to 50% of seats in public universities and government jobs are reserved. Article 15 bans discrimination on the basis of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. Article 16 guarantees equal opportunity in public employment. In 1993, India set up the National Commission for Backward Classes. In 2021, it passed the OBC bill with near unanimous support. India mandates quotas for women in village councils. More than 1.4 million women hold elected positions at the grassroots levels. And the focus is not just on gender or caste, it's also on tribes, language, religion, even on specific regions. Because India knows this. Inclusion is not a trend, it's the way a country moves forward. And maybe that's the real story of India. For centuries, we have been many things to many people. A mystic land, a spice route, a colonial subject, a software superpower. But at its core, India is a civilizational storyteller. And it has given the world so much: numbers, knowledge, stories, and systems. And yet we never brand it. We don't put flags on ideas. We don't ask for credit. Buddhism is now Asian, yoga is global, zero is for the world to use, diversity is a buzzword. Because real influence does not need a stamp. It moves quietly, it travels far. Some call it soft power, we call it what it is: India's enduring influence.
Firstpost now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English,
Stands at $36 trillion.
French,
Le FMI, comme
German,
Geschäftsführenden Direktor
Hindi,
$30 trillion ka karj mo.
Indonesian,
Pemerintah tanpa pemeriksaan.
Italian,
Sekali radikali.
Japanese,
4兆ドル以上も。
Portuguese,
Por causa do próprio balanço patrimonial.
Spanish.
Beautiful bill.
Go to Settings, click on Audio Track and select a language of your choice. Be the first to know what's happening around you in your first language. Firstpost.